let me raise a very old debate, a very old argument. Do guns kill people or do people kill people? Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with the argument. You would have heard it debated and discussed, I'm sure, many times, and you've probably discussed it many times. People kill people is the view, of course, of the National Rifle Association in the US, for example. It's a social constructivist view, isn't it? It's essentially social constructivist, that high levels of gun deaths are a product of social conditions, and in particular criminality. That's the NRA view. In this view, the gunshot is purely an expression of human will. Okay? The gun is expressing the desires of the human. Human is causing the gun to act in the way it does. What's the role of the gun? The only role of the gun is to transparently realise the desires and intentions of the human being. It's the human being that has these desires and intentions. It's the human being that causes the gun to act in the way the gun acts. The human being is entirely responsible. All the gun is doing is acting as a messenger, as it were. American debate, take one or two of you, that's the techno-determinist view. In the techno-determinist view, it's guns that kill people, not people that kill people. That high levels of gun deaths are a product of technological conditions, and those technological conditions are the presence of the gun, of course. So high levels of gun ownership, high levels of gun possession, carrying guns around the place to bars and in the street and in homes, etc., lead to directly cause high levels of gun deaths. So in this view, the gunshot is the expression of the gun. Now, how can we take a third way through this? How can we take a third position in this debate about whether guns kill people or whether people kill people? I think that the third position might say something like this. The gun is not the killer. Let's begin with that. The gun per se, is not capable of killing, is it? Let's consider what the gun is. The gun's made of metal and it's got bullets in it and so on. Okay, let's consider a gun on the desk. The gun that's sitting there on the desk is not a killer. A gun on the desk might be a paperweight, for example. One could consider it as a paperweight, not consider it as what we think of as a gun. Right? Supposing that the gun is on the wall, hanging up there on the wall. That's a memento, or that's a decoration or something. That's not what we think of when we think of a gun. Right? It's a different ontology. You say the gun is in somebody's drawer in their desk. Okay, that's not it. That might be making itself available to be a tack hammer, for example. Now let's consider a human being. A human being per se is not a killer. All right? My naked hand, is not capable of acting at a distance to pierce flesh and blood and break bones and so on. My naked hand is not capable of doing that kind of thing. Now, let's consider a third entity here, and try and take this thought seriously and literally, not metaphorically. Seriously and literally, not metaphorically. That the hand is a third ontology. It creates a new being on earth, a new being in the world. Here we've got the gun. Here we've got the naked human. That's one That's two. When we bring the two together and the gun is in the hand, we have a third thing. Doesn't make sense to think of it as the gun on the table, the naked human. The gun in the hand creates a third thing. The gun, let's call them the gunhuman. Okay? This third entity, the gunhuman. It creates a socio-technical construction, you see. You could think of it as a cyborg, this new being as a cyborg. The gun per se, the gun as technology here, no longer exists when it's in the hand. The hand, the naked hand, no longer exists when it's got a gun in it. What we've got instead is this hybrid. We've got this fusion. Now, when I shoot somebody, it doesn't make sense to say that the gun did it. The gun didn't do it. It doesn't make sense either to say that the hand did it, that the human did it. It's the third entity that did it. It's the gunhuman that did it. It can be argued, though, that it's human desire here that's at work. That the gun has no desires. Only the human has desires. That the gun has no will. Only the human has will. And therefore, it is human desire and human will that constructed the gunhuman in the first place. And it is the human that is responsible for exercising their will, for exercising their desire, and as a consequence, splintering bones, ripping flesh, and killing people. However, I don't think that is the case either. A gun in the hand is an entity, the gunhuman is an entity, a hybrid entity, with different capacities to the naked human. Yeah? It is capable of different actions, the gunhuman. The gunhuman can act differently in a way that the naked human cannot. The outcomes that result from the actions of the gunhuman are different. And in this view, different capacities, different actions, and different outcomes give rise to will, give rise to desire. The naked human has no desire to cause your head to explode. Here I am. This is not a possibility. This is an outcome. This is This is an outcome that that cannot be. The naked human does not have that capacity. And given that the naked human does not have that capacity, cannot act in that way, cannot achieve that outcome, that will is not present. The gunhuman, though, can act in that way. The gunhuman can create that possibility. That outcome can arise in the case of the gunhuman. It's the gunhuman that has the will and the desire to cause somebody's head to explode. It's not the human, the naked human, in this argument.